Hey guys, Kevin here. What I've got here is the Samsung S8. This was kindly given to me by my friend James for a few days. Unfortunately, I've not had the amount of time that I wanted to spend with this. I unboxed it yesterday and today I messed around with the camera, did some video tests, and I'm just playing around with the phone itself. But I've not had to spend time to spend a lot of time with it and get to know exactly how it works, etc. However, what I'd like to do in this video is just go over my initial thoughts on it, tell you what I think about the phone, my initial impressions of it, and perhaps do a few comparisons to my HTC U11, just because it's the phone I use on a regular basis. So the Samsung S8 has been out for quite a few months now, and it's still a great phone. It's a flagship phone. It's got the Snapdragon 835. I believe it was one of the first to have it, if not the first. And that's still the same CPU that other phones that are just coming out just now are using. So you are going to see a similar level of performance. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on specs and stats and things like that because you can check those yourself, but I'll just quickly go over what's on the box. It's got a 5.8-inch screen, but that does take into this kind of edge at the bottom. It's 5.6 inches is kind of the usable rectangle in the center. It's got a 12 megapixel camera in the back, 8 megapixels at the front. It is IP68 water and dust resistant. It's got an iris scanner that allows you to do face recognition, kind of similar to the Face ID thing that Apple's got. Knox protected, 64GB of storage, 4GB of RAM. Wireless charging is supported, and it comes with a nice pair of earphones. And the box as well, you do get a couple of adapters. You get a USB Type-C to micro B adapter. You get a USB Type-C host so that you can plug in flash drives as well. So that's quite good, and you get the earphones and earbuds and the fast charging cable. So it is a good phone without a doubt, and it has come down in price over the last few months. So first, let's talk about the hardware. And the hardware, well, it's very nice. Very sexy phone, very light, feels like a quality product. You don't feel like you've been ripped off if you bought this. You know, it is a good product without a doubt. I think it's a really good looking phone. Now, you'll see here you've got the micro SD slot at the top and the SIM card slot there. Power, USB Type-C down the bottom, speaker, headphone jack, and this is one of the few phones that has this. And you've got the Bixby button, I'll talk about that in a second, and then you've got the volume rocker. So when it comes to smartphones this year, a lot of people have been talking about a few things. You know, in the beginning, it was phones like Apple and the Google Nexus range that started taking away the micro SD card slot. And that became, will I buy that phone because it doesn't have a micro SD card slot? And now there are some phones, Google still do that, Apple still does that, but this has a micro SD card slot. This year, well, over the last year or so, it's all been about this headphone jack. Which phones have it, which phones don't. My HTC U11 does not have it. Did come with an adapter and did come with USB Type-C headphones, but it doesn't have a headphone jack, which means I can't just plug in the earphones that I'm wearing just now. So this ticks a lot of boxes. 4GB RAM, latest CPU, beautiful AMOLED display, or S-AMOLED display, very thin, fingerprint reader at the back, and the iris recognition as well. It ticks pretty much every box you want, but, you know, even after just a few years, there's a few things I've noticed already. The first one being this button. Bixby, if I load this up here. Now this thing, Bixby, is the same as Alexa or anything like that. It's a voice activated system. You can do commands and all that kind of thing. Now, personally, when I got this phone, I thought this was going to be like a camera button. I thought that was power, and I thought that was a camera button. It's not. Power's there, volume rocker, Bixby. Now, I was looking into this Bixby thing, and I was really shocked to believe that all year Samsung owners have been complaining about the fact that you can't change this. You can't actually remove that from loading Bixby. Until that is to about 2 days ago, they made an announcement that they can change it so that, you know, this button won't load Bixby. Now, this phone has Edge Sense. Now, I don't think I've got it turned on here. There you go. Now, Edge Sense, when you squeeze it, you can see the squeeze marks. Now, I've got to load up the camera, which is the default one, but HTC have set it up so that I can load any app I want by squeezing it. So if I use a game a lot, if I want to load up YouTube, I could just squeeze it loads it up, email, anything I want. Very, very handy. Can you do that with the Bixby button? No. After months of people complaining, the only option they're giving you in this new update is either it loads Bixby or it doesn't load it. That's it. So this button either becomes a Bixby button or it becomes obsolete. And that is just idiotic. I don't see why they wouldn't give people the option to just change this to a camera button, shutter button. Why not do that? Why restrict functionality? It makes no sense. It really doesn't. Now, as far as loading the phone up, when I loaded this phone up originally, I was really surprised at how much instructions there was. In fact, I'd go as far as saying that they kind of took your hand and guided you through all the features to the point it was actually annoying. All these little messages kept popping up. Do you understand how to use this? Do you understand how to use that? And I think that's a good thing in a way, but actually went a little bit overboard with it. It was just constantly, no, I'm fine, I know how to use the camera. No, I'm fine, I know how to use that. So as far as this goes, it is a skin of Android. And I think it's actually quite good. The last time I used a Samsung phone was a few years ago, and it was full of a lot of bloatware, and performance was hindered quite a lot because of all the apps. But moving it around, loading things up, loading the internet up, just general usage, it doesn't seem like there's any issue with performance, and that is to be expected. 4 gigabytes of RAM, Snapdragon 835 in 2017, that is enough. In fact, in 2018, it'll probably be enough as well. So it seems quite good. Now, when you look at the top menu here, there's lots of really handy things. Your standard torch, Bluetooth and that kind of thing, flight mode, power saving. Power saving mode seems quite good. There's also a performance mode where you can optimize it for gaming, high performance, so that'll put more energy into. It'll stop saving battery as much and put it all to power. Blue light filter. See that? If you think it's straining your eyes. Secure folder, mobile hotspot, NFC, always on display. It's got smart view, phone visibility, edge lighting, I think. So I'll point out, it will become apparent through this video, there are a lot of features I'm still not sure of. I'm still getting to grips with this, and you can, rearrange those. Now, the actual settings area, it's very, very clean. It's very professional. If you look at HTC here, pretty standard. It's good, but it just looks like a few options added on top of the default skin, where this looks like a really pretty, modification. They've added lots of different features, and they've packaged everything together in what they think is different categories. Now, I've not went through everything, but there are a lot of features that you won't find in any other phones. One-handed mode. There's lots of quick launch camera. I've got the back and multi-screen buttons at the bottom are the wrong way around here, but you can change them over. It's on screen, it's not physical buttons. There's a lot of options in these settings. I've not went through all of them. I've just kind of browsed through them all. But a lot of these things like performance and things like that, these are things that you would normally get in additional apps, and they've built it into the phone. Whether you think that's a good thing or not, it really depends on your perspective. Some people prefer a clean version of Google Android, and then they can just get the apps they want, but they have really catered to someone who just wants to buy a phone and then it does everything. And it does seem that way. There's a lot of really cool features on this. And again, I apologize, I haven't been through all this, so if I had to go through, and I'd be learning this as I recorded it. So with regards to the bloatware, when you load it up, the only app I've installed that Dan the Man, just to show what the gaming would be like. And it's going to be fine. Again, Snapdragon 835, 4 gigabytes of RAM. This can run on, very simple phones. So on a phone like this, it just breezes through it. It's too easy. Display looks beautiful. So, as far as bloatware goes, when you load it up, this is all the apps that you get, apart from Dan the Man. Facebook, Samsung Pay, all these things are pre-installed. You've got Microsoft apps at the top here as well. There's Google apps, but there's also the Samsung folder, and these are all the Samsung apps that you get there. Samsung Gear, Connect, Health, etc. It does seem though that you can actually remove these ones. So look at that. Uninstall. See that? So that one only says disable. You can't uninstall that one. You can uninstall that. You can't uninstall the Galaxy apps, and obviously you don't want to remove the internet. So you can remove some of the things that you don't need. But there's a few things that you do need to keep. Samsung Gear, you can remove that. So when you removed a few of them, you need to keep like the voice recorder, the Galaxy apps, which is kind of like an app store. I've not actually signed up to Samsung yet. So this is their own store if you want to download apps and games. So performance is good, screen is good, functionality is good, 3.5mm headphone jack. I will say with the speaker, it's kind of got the same, I'll put in some copyright free music. Right, it's always the same song that comes up. So it has the same problem as my HTC U11. You can see the speakers are in the same area at the bottom there. So what that means, the speakers are way down here. It's loud, sounds good. I actually find that a problem because when I'm watching YouTube and things like that, sometimes I'll be holding the phone like, I'll hold it in a way that blocks off the speaker, and then I have to, kind of move my hands around. It's a little bit of a pain. Seems to be the same problem with the Samsung. There isn't any other speakers. Back in the day, HTC had the speakers in the grill at the top and the bottom. Don't seem to have that here. So it's the same problem I've got on my HTC U11, unfortunately. It's not a deal breaker, but it would be good to have speakers that didn't do that. If you're holding it here, then you're not blocking off the speaker. It's unfortunately one of the sacrifices that phones have had to make, because you've got all the cameras at the top, and down the bottom you've got the buttons, and there's basically nowhere else for a speaker to go. There really isn't, unless you want bigger bezels. So with regards to security, you've obviously got the pattern, the grid, the pins. This does Face ID as well, which I did register, but I think use biometric. It basically uses a sensor. I think you hold that and it will try to do it. So it loaded up there just by holding that. So I registered my face. It must have seen me there and it's loaded it up okay. Now the other way is the fingerprint reader. And okay, so that works really well. But I will say it takes a little bit getting used to. Doesn't feel intuitive to me. I went from the Google Nexus 6P, which has the fingerprint reader here. The HTC U11 has got the fingerprint reader in the home button. Now, I still think with having it there, right in the middle around here, I think it's one of the best positions to put it. In fact, I don't see why companies haven't put it there and there in the home button. But there at the back seems to be the best position. The home button on HTC U11 isn't too bad. It's kind of where Apple put it. But here it's right up at the camera, and it just feels that maybe I just need to get used to it. I think once you get used to it, it might be okay, but I just find holding my hand here, it's not intuitive as it is to just hold it there. Maybe it's just the way I'm holding it. It feels a little bit high to me because it's the top of the phone. I'm not sure if other people would feel the same way, but you have to put your finger quite high up. Maybe when you get used to it, it's fine, but to me it seemed a little bit high up. Again, this is just preference. I am comparing it to the way that I'm used to using the phone with my Google Nexus 6P and HTC U11. Maybe when you get used to it, it's fine. Now the camera, as I said, I did try out the camera earlier, and there's a huge amount of options, a huge amount of features. you probably wouldn't want to even need to install any other Android camera apps because it's got everything that you need. You can see wide selfie, virtual shot. Now there's lots, like you can actually change the camera by going up and down. You can change from the front camera to the back camera, or you can use the button here. There's other options here. You can see this is all the different options. You've got the Pro mode, panorama, selective focus, slow motion, hyperlapse, food shot, virtual shot. You go the other way, that's selfie it's saying now. There's a lot of options in there as well. You can change, if I get it back up, you can change the picture size, video size and all that kind of thing. Now, I noted in my samples that you can record up to 4K, 60 frames per second at 1080p if you want. I recorded at 4K for my sample, but you can also record at 1440p in the front camera. I think that's really, really good. My HTC can only do 1080p, so for me that's an upgrade. I don't know of any other phones that do that right now, I'm not sure, but I think that's really good that you can record at the higher resolution. Lots of other options down there as well. But you will find there's lots of little things down here as well. Spotlight, slim face, large eyes. There's all these like emoji things as well. Maybe those appeal to kids more. So you're like, yeah, I know that's a kind of kiddie thing, but it is there. All these things, best friend, cheer up. So I haven't even scratched the surface on this. There's so many different options in this. And I'm not doing it justice because I'm still finding my way around it. But it is a decent solution. And let me see, wide selfie. You can see it increases the area that you take the shot in. So yeah, I mean, I have looked at a lot of video samples. I've looked at a lot of photos that have been taken with the Samsung S8. I've not been able to go out and take photos myself. Took a few in the house, but it looks like a fantastic camera. All the reviews this year gave it a very high review, and it was definitely up in the top 3 of all the reviews, saying that the Samsung S8 was better than like last year's iPhone 7, etc. Whether it holds up against iPhone 8, iPhone X this year, I'm not sure. Probably not, as it'll be falling behind a little bit, which is to be expected. So today, where I am just now, this is being recorded in September 2017, has been out for around 6 months, I believe, and the price is coming down a little bit. You can pick this up RRP around the £500 mark in the UK, but remember, people sell their phones second hand. You'll be able to pick up some bargains of this. Sub 400, no doubt about it, maybe even less. And does this offer what you would expect? Yes. So I'm not going to say it's flawed because it isn't. This Bixby button thing, I think that's idiotic. If you're going to put in a button there, it has to be some sort of multi-function button. It needs to be a camera button, a launch button. Restricting this to either opening up their assistant or nothing at all, to me, is silly. It really is silly, and I don't know why they haven't fixed that yet. Headphone jack, micro SD card makes this a very flexible phone, and performance-wise, you're not going to have any problems. Whether you like the skin or not, I mean, I think the skin's quite good. It's okay. It's not the lightest skin. It does add a lot of features. Perhaps you don't want all those features, but it's got a lot more options than, that I'm used to, if I'm honest, through my other phones. But overall, this is a very good phone. I was looking at buying this phone earlier on in the year, and I believe that if I had bought it, I wouldn't have been disappointed, not in the slightest. This is a very sexy phone. It's a very practical phone for what it can do, for what it costs. And when you're looking at all these new phones coming out, the larger Samsung Note 8, the Google Pixel 2 and XL, the iPhone X, even the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, they're all much more expensive than this phone. But really, if you just want a really good phone to use day to day, this should be in your list without a doubt. And it is a good phone. It looks great. Great display. It's light. It's sexy. Not so sure on the fingerprint placement, but it's a minor It's a minor detail. It's got the face recognition, which I'm not a big fan of it anyway. But all in all, this is a good phone. I've been very impressed with it. I haven't used it extensively though, guys. Please do bear that in mind. And if you are thinking about buying this, do your homework. Go and look at reviews. Go and look at other people's video reviews. Don't take what I've said today as gospel. You need to go out there and do your own research and find out what you want. But, you know, in a time when, you know, lots of phone companies are removing the headphone jack and they're removing the micro SD card slot, it's refreshing to see a company just stick with all of them and say, no, we're going to give you all. We're going to give you the flexibility of additional storage at a low cost, 3.5mm headphone jack. Maybe Samsung will change it up next year, but this year their flagship phones are very flexible. We still don't have a replaceable battery though. That would be the ultimate if you could have the micro SD card and the 3.5mm headphone jack and then a battery that you could take out. But in this quest for phones being lighter and thinner, there's always sacrifices such as the speaker. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, it is just a quick look at the Samsung S8. My initial impressions of it are that this is a sexy phone. This is a good phone. And if I had bought it, I would not have been disappointed. Thanks for watching. And if you've got any questions, please do leave them below and I'll give you my thoughts on it. And until next time, take care.